So we're talking about that it is such a wild time right now. And I was telling you that we have to get our surfboards ready. We have to ride this wave, right? Um, and one thing I just said, and I think it is really true, the good thing, however you want to call it, some people don't feel it like this because it was a very rude awakening, is that we all feel alive. All of a sudden, we got this huge slap in the face and this numbness and this sleepiness, and wherever we were in, it's just we woke up. And that's why it feels also scary. You know, we before that, if you are in your dream world, you know, in a sleeping state, everything is kind of like in a bubble, and all of a sudden you see the reality. So it's not really nice. So that's how we start. And now let's introduce ourselves.
Yeah. So I'm Ian Altarsar, the Freedom Astrologer, and I'm sitting here with Aria, the Spiritual Hooligan, who I had the pleasure of meeting. And after talking to you and after hearing your story, I was like, oh my God, I need to get you here and share your story a little bit more, but also share that side of you, who, let's say, is the spiritual hooligan, who is the, let's say, bringer of truth, I would say, as well, and let's say even the challenger of the status quo, because like you said, we were asleep, and a lot of us were asleep, and now what happens now basically is I think on everybody's mind.
Yes, true. It is. It is. Um, One thing that I think we have to turn around to right now and look at um, are actually the people that we always looked down to.
Mm.
You know, the ones at the edge of the society, the ones that were not behaving the way they should have done, because they know their way through this chaos. They're used to it. You know, people like me who have like a very traumatic childhood, we're used to chaos. So, and if we have learned and healed out of that, we can be good, you know, like those tour guides when you go to Rome and have like those little signs up. We're very good at having this sign up. So look around in your community right now. Who are the tour guides? If you feel you can't do it on your own, and you don't have to, you shouldn't actually, look who are your tour guides. Because we talked about this, it's a wild time right now. We all feel it.
I think I'm literally haven't felt this on the edge of my seat for a very, very long time. And then, like you, I've grown up in some turmoilish experiences in my life as well. So it's a familiar in a way, but it's a new kind of edge to it as well. So I'm personally, let's say, when I'm looking at my personal experience, I'm literally learning to surf with this flow as well, because this current is quite strong and very specific, I would say, as well.
It is very intense. It is like the maximum. It's not yet the maximum, but it goes towards the maximum of our feeling of being unrooted, being lost, you know, being without roots. So it's like humanity, that's how I feel it right now, is getting ripped out right now. It's
Mm.
getting ripped out. And we all feel this kind of lost because the roots are being, you know, ripped out. Like everything we thought is the roots, like our good job, our house, our, you know, everything in order is being taken away one after the other. So the only thing I can think of, what I do when it gets too intense, I'm like, okay, I surrender. I only surrender to the highest light. Don't come with darkness around the corner, you know. I fight you. But but you have to kind of be prepared. And it's going to sound a little bit hard for a lot of people right now. Just say to yourself, if I have to die, I have to die, but I'm going to die free. And what that does is it takes away this pressure of like holding this, whatever you think you're holding. You think you're holding your life, right? Like your actual breath. But what you're holding are the things you knew. And that feels like a death. It is a death. It is a huge death rebirth thing happening right now. So be ready to let go, to say, okay, my old self is dying. Okay.
Guys, I think what Aria just said is crucially important during these times. It's literally, it's very hard for me to imagine even going through these times without that acceptance, because the things that are happening, when the V situation hit, there was a lot of talk, well, once we get back to normal and, then everything will be fine again and okay. But now, these things are unraveling, and that it's becoming more and more evident that there's no actual going back to the, normal, because that didn't work, first and foremost. But, the underlying foundations have been so much shaken and shaken for a reason that we need to reinvent ourselves and reinvent how we exist as human beings on this planet, and accepting our mortality, and with it the let's say the higher consciousness or our soul parts is a very, very big part to go through these experiences. Otherwise, like Aria said, it will be like very, very much holding on. And if you hold on in these currents, in these waves, it will be very, very extremely difficult, and then most likely will be washed with all of that anyway to some shore somewhere.
Yeah, and how long can you hold your breath? How long? You can't. So you have to think about it. How long can you hold your breath? And there's something else that just came to my mind when you were talking, and it's a little bit a bigger picture right now, but so when you come from trauma, people do not realize that you a lot of times don't know you are in that. You don't know you are in the most whatever violent, it is normal for you. If you grow up like this, it is a normal situation. And the moment you realize, I don't want this anymore, or something happened so extreme that it wakes you up and shakes you up, it is so hard to let go even of this very unhealthy and toxic past. It is very hard. And this is where humanity is right now. If you see us as a collective, because unfortunately we don't have really the majority of families being healthy, it's exactly the opposite.
Yeah.
So we are all going through this stage right now, the stage of, oh my God, I didn't know this person was this. I didn't know the government was doing this. I didn't know. So most people are still in this shock phase, realizing it's happening, even though it's happening since 2 years.
Yeah.
But now like, oh, it's happening. And we are all in the stage right now. And the only thing that can help you right now is to really center yourself, try to connect to God, the divine, the goddess, whatever you call it, something that is bigger than you, and just surrender, not surrender, take me to jail, surrender to the divine and say, you know what? I'm here. I have a body. I can fight for humanity. I can fight for my children. I will not live on my knees. I will die on my feet if I have to. You have to get the mentality of, no matter what, I'm not going back into what I saw now, you know, like the truth was now in front of me. And that's where we all are right now. So that's why I really believe, as I said before, you have to find the tour guides, people who have gone through this, not the ones who are still in there. They're lost. You know, the ones who keep doing the trauma over and over, do not follow them. That's basically the government. So, but it is a death and rebirth time, and death and rebirth time is the most difficult time.
It is. It definitely is. And I think for a lot of people who might be watching this, we're saying death and rebirth, and these are quite big words. And at first, if it, hits you maybe too hard, and it scares you, I can understand that. But it takes, like Aria, said and mentioned, it takes time a little bit to allow yourself to, let's say, get used to that process, get used to letting go of things, letting go of people, letting go of traumas past, letting go of old ways. It takes time, and it's very hard to sometimes let go because our minds want to feel so safe, and those things used to make us safe. But now the problem becomes, these things don't really do their job anymore. They don't actually make us safe. So what do you do now? So the next step is to start understanding that, to start surrendering into that, start allowing that. And that process is, I would say, quickened and heightened right now because of the events that are happening. Otherwise it would be maybe a little bit gradual, but right now it's like a lot of people are definitely ripped from that, and metaphorical and sometimes literal death is happening everywhere, unfortunately, as well.
Yes, and the thing is that what you just said is about, of course, the that you normally would need time, right? You normally would need your tea, your blanket, your sofa, your, like this inner peace, and we just don't have it right now. Things are speeding up, and I can feel it too with everything. And you and I just talked about it. What's happening also in my life right now. We're selling the house, and we have to be out of here the 8th of April, which is what is it, in 10 days or something? No,
a little bit more, but very soon.
We don't have a place to go because we can't find anything. Everybody is moving out of the cities, buying houses. The people are moving into other houses. We have a huge dog. So what am I going to do? I have no idea. And it doesn't mean I'm not afraid because I have a child. It's always different when you're alone, and you don't have to take responsibility for somebody else. But I have a child, so I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my child? Like, I'm going to live in the car now until I find something. But at the end, to tell you the truth, it all depends what we're going to do out of it, right? We all maybe going to end up at the same places. Even if I would end up in a car for a week, let's say, I'm not. But, I sleep in a hotel. I don't care. But I'm saying if that would happen, I would make it as an adventure for my child. I would not let my fear, my whatever, dominate it. So sometimes we have to do this for ourselves, meaning tell your fear, I see you, I appreciate you, I know you're here because you want to help me. Can you sit down on the sofa, please? I have some things to do. And just do it anyways. And that's hard.
And I think one of the key things you said is like you're afraid, or there's fear there. Actually, was the word you use, and that's, guys. I wanted this part really to sink in, because the fact that we're talking about death and rebirth and all these deep things, it doesn't matter, or it doesn't mean that I'm not afraid, or Aria's not afraid, or you shouldn't be afraid. There shouldn't be no fear. This is a very normal thing for a human being to experience during these times. And but the point of this is to have that fear. Yes, it's still here. I feel it. I experience it. But you know, you need to take action. You need to move. You need to go to certain kinds of places that are safer. You know, that are better, healthier for a family, and so on and so forth. So you, the let's say the clarity of your mind, the action needs to be there. And if there's so much emotion, that if there's so much too much fear, then you can't do those necessary actions as well. I think it's very, very, very crucial that everybody kind of sits with it and understands it for a little while.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that it is part of you. It is not there to, all the emotions that we have are there to protect us. All of them. The fear, the whatever, they're all there to protect us. Even the anger, the whatever you want to call it, at the end it's there to protect us because it thinks there's this, I need to do this, so my feeling is going to stop, right? It's all about that our feelings are here to serve whatever purpose. But because we are not very aligned right now as humans and humanity, our brain, our heart, our spirit, our soul, our body is not working properly. So we have unlearned how to deal with them, with those feelings, right? It's basically like a big table, and you have all your sides, different sides of yourself, and different feelings, and they all sit at one table. You have to become the leader of all the whole table sitting there. If you're not, one of them is going to do crazy things, right? If you have like I don't know, this crazy pit bull inside of you, if you are not in control of that, it's very helpful to have that in certain situations, but if you're not in control of it, it will just come out all over the place and just hurt people. And that's what I mean. So, and your fear too, you have to acknowledge and respect it and say, yes, thank you. I know you're here to help me. I feel you, because you feel it. You feel the fear. And you still have to do it. You still have to do it. There we are at the rebirth phase, meaning it's like, you go to the hospital pregnant, and then you're like, oh, I thought about it. I'm going to have it next year. You know, you can't. You can't. You have to go through it. And birth is a very good example, because what do you have to do? You have to surrender. There's nothing else you can do except surrender and let the process happen. That's the birth. But you get this amazing baby, guys. Don't forget that,
Yeah, I think that's one of the also very important parts of this,
Yes.
what we're doing, because we're birthing something new, guys.
Yes.
And not to get too high and mighty and too maybe Jupiterian or whatever it is. We're moving towards something that we actually want in a lot of ways. And sometimes we can say subconsciously want as humans, and now it's because these things are so in our faces, now it's becoming conscious. Okay, we need something else. So but in all of this turmoil, let's not forget that this turmoil is the birthing process of the new, of what we actually desire, actually what we want on this planet Earth, and how we actually want to be on this planet Earth.
There's this, I always see it in like this sacred seed inside of us. And like the universe really like tried all kinds of ways to make us like bloom that thing. And we're like, no, 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 no. And now it's like, boom, 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 like the earthquake, basically, right? And my feeling, I don't know anything about astrology, but this is one of my feelings, that we're going to have like shaking up things in any kind of way, even earthquakes. And I see this little crack, and I see this sacred seed. It's like full of light, and it comes out, it starts blooming. And I believe this is why all this is happening. If somebody would have told you, oh, this government is doing this years ago, and that most people, even now we have a lot of blind ones, but there are a lot who woke up, they would have not believed you back then. It has to happen, so you have to see it. It's the same as we said in normal relationship between adults, or when you had that in your childhood. You know, like you have to see, it has to come to a point where it is so bad that you finally wake up and say, I'm done. I don't want this anymore. And this is where we are right now, in this waking up phase, and it's getting worse and worse. So even the last one somewhere is, I wanted to say somewhere in the mountains, but they're fine actually. You know, the last one in the cities are kind of waking up and saying, okay, even at least if they say something is not quite right, that's already a big step.
I do see it as well, but I also, because this is how I observe, constantly observe people and what they do and what they say, and especially here in Estonia, I still see, we're literally next to what is happening, and people are still like, no, no, it's all fine, it's not coming, it's almost total denial. Is, the seeds of that, or the remnants actually of that are still unfortunately there, and I hope, let's say, I hope it doesn't get worse than that, or where we're at. But I think unfortunately it will get worse, and then we can see if these let's say people are also ripped away from that space or that tight hold of
Yes,
the
and
old.
it's going to be harder.
It
That's
is.
that's all it is. It's just going to be harder because sometimes, especially with adults, you have that. You look at for example, a man and a woman, and you can tell, and if she stays, usually she, sometimes it's he, in
Mm-hmm.
this relationship, it's going to get worse and worse, right? If they
Oh.
say,
Mm-hmm.
well, he just hit me once, but it was because of this and this. And you already know if you stay, it's going to get even worse. Maybe you even going to lose your life, and you can tell it's getting more and more and more. The violence is getting bigger in this relationship. And this is right now on a global scale, this relationship, right? So those people in denial are the ones who got the first slap in the face and say, oh, it was just because of that, everything is fine, we're good, it was a mistake, it was. So they're in this phase, and it's it is getting harder and harder then to get out of this situation. A lot of people back then, I was born and raised in Germany. My parents are Greek, but in Germany at the Second World War, a lot of people left when they got the feeling, when they knew something is going on here. The rest was in denial. And you saw what happened.
I think this is a very, very acute observation, because this is the exact thing I was sharing with my fiance. And just to give you a little context, guys, as well, who are listening, my family, let's say half of my family, escaped to Australia during the Second World War because, things got bad here in Estonia, and other side to Canada. And exactly, the other side was, that stayed here. A lot of them didn't have the best experience. Luckily, they had to hide and, do all these things. They managed somehow. But like the bigger part were still there, like the denial of the denial of actual reality, is what was there. And it was there in Germany, it was there in here in Estonia, it was all over the place. And that force really, acutely hit, most of Europe, a lot of the world, I would say, as well. So I'm not saying, guys, you should, only listen and observe these things, and I'm not saying you should move anywhere. This is your personal choice. I am personally relocating to a safer
I
place,
am.
hopefully. But yeah, this is it will be your choice, and just look at history, look at people, look at things, look at connections and how people act and what they do, and these forces what they do, and you will start to understand and you start to see these clues. I think you can make a better decision from, you know.
And one thing the situation right now gives us, Ian, is this kind of it sounds controversial, but kind of freedom. And what I mean by this is a lot of people lost a lot of things anyways already. So you can start really seeing life as an adventure. Like stop with the seriousness and turn around and say, how can I make an adventure out of that, right? If you move now with your family, you can get in the mode of let's have an adventure, maybe for 1, 2, 3 years and see what's happened. Instead of, oh my God, get the tissues out. I'm leaving everybody behind. My life is over. It really depends on your mental state, on your mental health, your soul, um, which way your soul is turned. And I believe that it is crucial that we see life as an adventure and that we really don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So start living like this. Do your best, not start living like, oh, I'm destroying everything before I leave. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what can I leave that will be the sacred seed, right? What can I leave here? So what can I do? What can I plant? What can I birth, right? That that it's gonna stay, because yeah, life has become an adventure all of a sudden for many.
I totally agree. And again, I don't know if you're like picking up on the conversations that me and my fiance are having in private, but like these are the exact words we used as well. Like, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to take an adventure and we're going to make
Exactly,
make the best out of this
exactly,
situation.
exactly. And that's what you have to do. I don't know if you know the movie. I don't remember the name. It got a lot of awards. It's an older movie about this Italian guy in the concentration camps in Germany who was there with his daughter, and he was actually a comedian,
Mm,
and he was making it like it is like a whole comedy show for his daughter, and it's actually a real story.
mm,
So, and I have a very good example. One of my former bosses in Germany, um, I don't think he's alive anymore now, but he was a kid at the war. I mean, he was 8 years old or something when the war started. And he told me always, and I couldn't understand it back then. I was very young, but he always told me, I never saw war as a problem. It was
mm.
never bad for me because we were living in this village, and every time they bombed the city, my mother was saying, it's fireworks. And I believed her. And she never gave me the feeling of this, what is happening there, right? All the horrific things that are actually, you are witnessing that. And this is, there you see how our mind is working, right? He didn't know what it was. It didn't scare him, it was far away. And she told him, oh no, it's just fireworks. And he thought that's what it is. And he said he carried that through his whole life to just change the reality. So, and I think when people say we always have a choice, we really do, except children. I don't like when they say this. Well, you have a choice as a child. No, you don't. You know, if somebody does horrific things to you, you do not have a choice as a child. But I'm talking about adults. We really have choices, no matter what. Even if we have the choice, if somebody holds a gun against our head, right, and we choose, I don't care. I'm not going to do it. Shoot me. That's a choice. So let's choose the reality we want to see. Is it bombs? Nope, it's fireworks. Let's celebrate. What are we going to do? I'm not talking about denying, be in denial of reality, okay? And there are people suffering right now. There are people dying. I'm not talking about that. That's not what I'm talking about. But we have to find ways, even from our sofa at home, to send light into a situation. And you cannot send light into a picture of bombs if it scares you and you see death. You have to change this picture in your mind. If you want to send light, you send it this way. You know, the bombs disappear, they're just fireworks, you know, and like love is going down to the people. You have to change your mind.
I think the power of perception is crucial here, guys, during these times, because it's one of the tools that will also help you navigate these moments. Because most likely, if you're looking at this video or watching this interview, you're, you know, at least in my mind, you're one of those people who has the more groundedness in your wherever you are. So what does that mean is most likely everybody else around you are going to be in fear, are going to be, you know, quote unquote crazy, but you know, fear is what makes us, you know, crazy. So that's the thing. But if you manage to use your perception, you manage to learn or to literally allow yourself that the birthing process, the dying process, if you manage to allow these things, then you are, you know, like the light, the seed, like Aria said, you're the beacon actually that holds that place together. And if everybody else sees that around you, maybe it's 5 people, maybe it's 2, whatever the number is, but if they see it as well, it's much easier for them to come into that energy as well. And then from that point onwards, the decisions, the understanding what we do, how we can continue, these are of much higher quality. And you know, the adventure can begin, you know, a tough adventure, yes, but the adventure can still commence, let's put it that way.
Yeah, and find communities, even if it's on the internet, it doesn't matter. Find communities. And for people who really are, they want to do something, but they really feel scared. Or it's an old lady, she's in her mid-70s, and she's like, I want to do something. Really, guys, believe it or not believe it, it doesn't matter. Just do it anyways. Sit on your sofas and send light into situations. There is this energetical thing that we have forgotten that we have. Send it out, or stand bare feet on the ground somewhere in your garden, wherever it is, and just send light. Just see light and send it. Say wherever it needs to be, I send it, I send it, I send it. Because some of us are the ones who are the rebels who are on the streets. Some of us are the ones who do YouTube videos. Some of us are the ones who take care of old people in the houses. Everyone who is doing his little piece, even if it is just sending light, which is not just, but this is what forms our new reality. Everyone, if you do the best in whatever you're doing, like if you give your best, it's making such a big difference. But do your best for yourself and your family, you know, find what is the best for me right now. If you have to relocate, do it. If you have to stay there, do it. But find ways to make it an adventure. Be ready for everything. You know, nothing is easy. To relocate is hard. To stay is hard. Everything is hard. You just have to see which way would I like to go.
Yeah. Don't make illusions of, you know, if I relocate to that place, I will be only safe and nothing bad will happen to me, no challenges, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't, you know, it's planet Earth, just a reminder, you know, that's not the energy usually here. We do face challenges, we face struggles, we need to go through them to grow as individuals. So please keep that in mind as well when you make that decision, you know, whatever it is for you, family. And, you know, like Gary said, start from yourself, start from you, your family. This is the most important part. Yeah. And then if you have energy left, if you have, you know, the light, if you have that left, then you can start, you know, expanding it to others and help others as well.
Yes, it's, as we said, it's a wild time. Like, I'm telling you, even for me, who had like really Even in my adult years, a very wild life. I'm kind of like, wow, this is getting hot here. It is not easy. It is what it is. But we're alive, and as long as we have a pulse, we have a mission. That's why we're here. Let's not forget that either.
I think I think that's a really good way of let's say ending this, because
Yes,
that gives us strength, that gives us meaning, that gives us power and strength to go. And guys, remember that, you know, during these, let's say, next years, I would say, once you when you still have a pulse, keep kicking, keep fighting, keep moving, keep doing, keep making things, keep sending light, you know,
yes.
keep being the being that you are. And appreciate you watching this. And you know, all the links. I think, Aria, you have a TikTok already. Am I? Yeah.
Yes, I have a TikTok, but I have like only two videos. But the one has already like 2,000 views or something. And I have my Instagram. It's at Aria Kaisen. Or maybe you can put a link underneath. But
I will definitely put the links
yes,
underneath the
and
video.
I will, you know, I will put this video on my YouTube channel that I don't have right now.
Nice. Nice.
But I'm gonna open it up these days and just put it on, because I think these kind of conversations are very important for the world. And sometimes, as you said before, maybe only one person hears it and goes like, wow, this one sentence, this one word, that was it, what I needed.
Yeah, and maybe, you know, it helps them to go and make that decision and, you know, save their baby or whatever. You know, it can be many things, guys. And I hope, you know, maybe we can get Aria again on the Freedom Astrology channel here as well, and do another one of these. I would say I really appreciate your direct, fiery, let's say, approach to life and how you do things. And I think it's a breath of fresh air, and I think it's needed. And especially during these times, this fire, this passion is very much needed. And I hope you guys watching this get a taste of this as well. And I hope this fire from Aria, you know, helps you through the
And I'm
coming
wearing
months.
red.
Yeah. So thank you very much, guys. Appreciate you, and see you again soon in the next video.
Bye. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.